un poco entre to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Hey. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Yeah. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Yeah. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point, the show with the best looking guys, the most brilliant, the most informed, and the most consistent. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great day to be alive. Today is Sunday. It is 4 o'clock on the East Coast and 3 p.m. on, I guess, the Central Time. It is On Point. Ladies and gentlemen, you in for a dozier. I'm telling you, the American man say, this one, I know the Freetown man, same President Boyka just came from Freetown. We got to use the Freetown parlance. This one pass mark. That's what the Freetown man say. I'm going to introduce my co-host, Mr. Jimmy Eastman. I like the background. How you doing that, sir? Is that Nima in the background now?
That blue lady.
Oh, the blue lady. Okay, Mr. Eastman, how you doing that, sir?
Time for us to go back to the roots.
Go
Okay.
back to the roots. Okay.
I'm
Let's
good.
do
It's
it.
time for us to go back to our roots.
Good. How's
I'm
everything?
glad to be here. Looking for a good discussion.
Great. Our technician, co-host, the IT man, all in one. Mr. Patmore, how you doing there, sir?
I'm doing great. Mr. Gimmin. Well, I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we'll have a good show.
Somebody say your feature look just like the fake speaker that just installed himself.
No.
That's not him?
No. I'm here. Oh, ain't I even
I
close?
know you are better looking than him.
Yeah.
Mr. Taiwo, how you doing there, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. I know a lot is going on right now in Monrovia, and I'm just happy to be here to be part of the discussion.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. We came here a little late. We have little glitches here. You know the internet problem in Liberia. The LEC keep flaking. That's how we came a little late. But it's all right. We are back. Listen, Liberia is a gift that keep giving. We have problems narrowing it down to 3 or 4 subject matter. Because from January 24th or 22nd, 23rd, whatever it is, when these people came into power, we have never had a shortage of topics. Actually, we began the year with $500,000 from Grace Bay. We began the year with $22 million. We began the year with yellow machines. We began the year with bus from Ghana. We began the year with you name it. Now we have now walked our way from all this Congo town. Now we are the capital. At the capital. What is going on at the capital? It is not an intellectual debate. It is what the crewmen call quitty. Yes. We are cussing man. We are punching people. We are kicking the door down. And now the only thing that remaining is for us to do some head hunting. So, Mr. Eastman,
Yes, sir.
we have the saga at the Capitol. That would be the first one we want to discuss. Then we got the millennium thing that was given to us. One of the things that the people are telling us, we are a country that lack the rule of law.
Right.
If you say, I'm looking at the blue lake behind you. If you have billions of dollars to put into bombing to build another blue lake, will you put your money in a country where there's no law and order, where there's no court system, where when the court rules, nobody listens? Will you put your money? So let's start. Let's get going. The third thing on there is the government released the 25 budget. The 2025 budget. The only thing I like in this budget, they're saying, Wagon said he would make our sports arena one of the greatest in Africa. But the total budget, listen to this. The total budget for the entire sports in the country is $150,000. The entire country sports, $150,000. Mr. Eastman, let's get started here. Let's start with the House. Our House of Representatives is in chaos, and chaos is an understatement. I've been diplomatic. The House is upside down. The rule of law is being challenged. And we saw yesterday our Supreme Court ruled that I'm talking about we Liberian, we should return to status quo ante. In the English language, you are the civics, you are the what we call the Robert Rule of Order. When it says status quo ante, it says go back to where you began. That is, before all the holla happened, go back there and then wait until we can rule. But you have to return to where you were. In the military sense, they say, as you were. You drilling, they say, as you were, then you stop. That's what the Supreme Court said. So, Mr. Eastman, here we are. The Supreme Court has got to involve. Yeah. This time, it is not the judge or justice in chamber. It is the entire Supreme Court. They have called both parties to return to status quo ante. Mr. Eastman, you went to school. You got educated in the classics. So we are speaking Latin and Greek now. Ante. Your take on what the Supreme Court just did.
Okay, so what I think the Supreme Court is trying to arrest the situation before it gets out of hand. Yes, we agree that the House is, or the legislature as a whole, is a body unto itself that can create its own rules. But what we see developing is there is a head-on collision within the body as to how the rules are to be implemented and interpreted. So as a result, the Supreme Court now, before it gets out of hand, before we see the quickly break out, before we see people starting to throw blow and do all kind of disruptive behavior, Supreme Court say, wait, return everything to status quo ante because we want it to be like how it was before, and let's decide how it should go. Because it appears that one group is going ahead and beginning to suspend, beginning to address the matters as if the other group is in violation. So this can definitely lead to a constitutional crisis, whereas we have now two speakers, one the speaker embattled and one a brand new speaker. So the rules are now not clear anymore, beginning to blur. And that, I believe, is why the Supreme Court is getting involved. to bring sanity, to clear up some of the confusion. Now, whatever the Supreme Court decides on Tuesday, to bring this all into a cohesive body once more again, will determine if which body is legitimate and how they should proceed. But we hear echoes from the chambers, the majority bloc, that they will not listen to the Supreme Court because they have no jurisdiction over there. But I believe in the end, soberness will prevail. If anything, the executive might chime in and bring soberness to the floor. But as it is now, we are on the brink of a head-on collision.
Great. Mr. Padmore, I think you are muted, Mr. Padmore. Okay. Here we are, Mr. Padmore, Mr. Eastman, Mr. Nambe, and myself, and Mr. Tawo. We are all about around the same age where we saw decorum, where we saw how governments run. Here we are, Mr. Padmore. For some reason, there's somebody that has no brain between their ears in the so-called majority black that is saying the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction because this is a political matter. And what they don't understand, the Supreme Court said all rules, anywhere, even in your church, in the mosque, in our fraternities and our sorority houses, you cannot pass any law, any rule that circumvent or violate the Constitution, which is the organic law of the country. The House has the political rules, and those political rules still have to be guided by the Constitution. If you are going to move me politically because you don't like me, it is your choice. But the process for removing me, which the due process, is constitutional. You can't just come say, I don't like Michael Padmore, so I'm going to do anything. No. You can't just go to Michael Padmore's house and start beating him up because you don't like him. No, the Constitution guarantees you have the right to not like him. But he has the right to the protection under the Constitution. Mr. Padmore, talk to us. Who is advising these guys that are making these things that don't make sense to say we are now going to disregard and disobey and disrespect the Constitution? I mean, the highest court of the land, because we are politicians, we can do whatever we want. Talk to me, Mr. Padmore.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving, man. I really don't know who is advising these guys. If I had to pick, if I was forced to pick who was advising these guys, I would pick greed. Greed is who is advising these guys. You know, and greed has a way of sneaking up on you and taking over every edifice of your thinking. You know, anything that is constitutional, okay, anything that is constitutional is not out of the realm of the Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, it invites the Supreme Court because that is their job. More than anything else, when it's constitution, it is within the realm of the Supreme Court. So, you know, when you hear these people talk about, you know, administrative matters or it's what they say? Oh, it's a political matter. As if to say politics does not have rules. You know, it's so embarrassing that these are our elected leaders. Not only are they our elected leaders, they are also lawmakers. They are lawmakers. They make laws and demand that we, the citizens, follow those laws. And then they are breaking laws. So what kind of example are they setting for us? What kind of example? are you setting for us that we can stand on and say, no, as a civilized society, we should follow the law. Even if we don't agree with the law, we should follow the law. Even if we have problem with the law, we should follow the law. Until we are able to change the law, we should adhere to the law. These are the people who are setting examples. Look, I woke up Friday morning, and I'm like, what's going to happen in Liberia today? And I opened up the newsroom, and I saw LU students. Also, I couldn't even say anything because they just following the example of their leaders. What are you going to say to LU students when they also basically defying the law, when they are also causing trouble, when they are also being disorderly? What are you going to say to those young people? They have been given a prime example. If you don't like something, this is how you change it. You go outside of the law. You force your own way. You demand your own way. If you run against somebody, and that person defeats you, just go in the back, connive some plane, and just jump outside with your plane. You know, it's disheartening. It's so disappointing. But these are the people that we have elected. You know, these are the people who are elected. The Clarence Gayers of the world, the 40 family of the world, the Kogas of the world. These are the people we've elected and place our future in their hands. So this is what we are getting. You know, like Mr. Cummings always said, you know, you keep doing the same thing and you keep expecting something different. Man, that's mere insanity. Insanity.
Mr. Taiwo, here you are, you're in the United States, even in Liberia, we say, I like when Liberian men say, this is the land of law and order and not law of men. Then they turn around and say, the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction here. We can do whatever we want. Some people are saying, this is an orchestrated plan, chaos. So while they are at it, you know, hands been changed. How Waka is running the government with no oversight. They will prefer that this thing remain in chaos and they can run the country as they see fit. This man wants to be a total dictator. He wants to find a way to do this. Mr. Taiwo, talk to what's happening in this thing they call the House of Representatives.
Okay. So in the first place, the reality, not what's on paper, but the way that these governments run, the way they set up the three branches of government. No one actually have actual authority over any of over the other one. They don't listen to each other because they both all three branches have absolute power to do what they want to do. What you see the Supreme Court doing. Yes, you can say the Constitution pointed out here, but let's put that aside and look at the reality on how this actually play out. Honor Ellen, didn't we see that play out? What the Supreme Court is issuing something. Who's going to listen to them, and what is it supposed to mean when the Supreme Court? Then they tell the President Boycott, don't remove the people, tend to put them back. Are they there? What did the Supreme Court do? Nothing. So this is what I keep pointing out. You keep saying, oh, no, it's the people that, no, it's not the people. If you have a system that is built to where there are these leeways, where you can do things, then, my brother, that is what it's going to lead to. I keep saying, let us examine the system. Look, I spoke to my little daughter because I'm going to come to something here and say, oh, yeah, these are lawmakers. She said, what that mean? I told her, I don't know. You have people who their title is actually their lawmakers. And 365 days out of the year, whatever many days out of the year, they make laws. How much laws are needed to govern a people? No, these things are this system. Look, that branch need to be dismantled. Let me tell you something. You don't need this guy. You can't be.
Then who's going to represent the people?
No. Now listen. Don't interrupt me. Because the moment I come to this, instead of at least trying to think, we are struggling with this stuff to make sense of it. I'm pointing out the fundamental.
I'm just calling you out, Chief. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, because you cannot spend all your time making laws, it's not possible.
But that's not all they do.
So the guys work very less. They have so much time on their hands. That is why you're seeing all of this stuff. But so me, when it comes to the Supreme Court and the legality of it and all of this stuff, is one aspect I listen to people discuss it on every front. But what we're trying to make sense of here is a corrupt system. It's a system that is inefficient, a system that has too much ambiguity built in it. Okay, for Nati Kofa, because the reason for me, I don't care about who even become speaker or whatever, is because when you get in and you're trying to defend somebody, you end up defending the criminals. For Nati Kofa, how did he become the speaker? He wanted to cry about corruption. He was sitting here, what was the quote? When Baka called people to bribe them, when he called people to bribe them, that is what all of the guys do. So for me, I don't even care about who becomes speaker. I'm pointing out that the system itself or the structure of government that you have has some flaws in it, or your rules or your constitution has written. Maybe it need to be looked at. I keep saying we need to re-examine these things. Guys, look, Kofa, how did Kofa come to power? He said he was sharing money. Now look, Kofa is going to be gone. It's just a matter of time. Kofa, I don't know if the former president, the former party with him, the little money that they stole, they're going to pump a little bit, they're going to hold back and say, no, you see the government? If the present sitting government have endless cash, okay, eventually Kofa is going to be gone. And we say, oh, these are the people that will voted. My brother, it doesn't matter who you vote in. Haven't we been voting? We don't want to go all the way back from 2006. We've been voting. What is the outcome? It's still the same and the same and the same. Because the way the system is structured, the guys don't answer to nobody. The executive cannot be told what to do. The Supreme Court tell them, they say, we are here. Then they say equal right, equal branches, equal. That is what you have. So the Supreme Court can say something, they're not going to listen. Look at how the three groups were built. They were never built for them to keep each other in check. That is not in name. They were built so that the three branches can connive and rob the country. Oh, you pull 10 million in there for you. You know what? I'm going to block it here until we get our own cut. Oh, I'm going to block this one. That is what you see. They were never really meant to put each other in check. In the interest of the country, they were meant to put each other in check in terms of who is going to be stealing the most, so that then the other one cave and they come together to cut deal, and then they pass laws, they make policies. That is what it is.
Thank you.
I officially disagree.
Mr. Namwe.
You have your right.
Mr. Namwe, our country, it's getting very difficult to argue with Mr. Tao. It has to be the system.
No, it's easy.
Because they look at, we make changes after changes after changes after changes, and we got to see outcome. So we, the Liberian people, we the one have to be, like Mr. Comey said, we the one have to be insane. Mr. Namwe, the Supreme Court has just ruled that everybody should go back to status quo ante. You and I went to the classical school, we studied this, and they say, when they say status quo ante me, go back to your previous or original state from when this whole thing originated, and you begin from there until we can rule. The renegades, I call them, are saying we are separate but equal, and the Supreme Court has no say so. I don't know where they are getting this from, but this is not even constitutional crisis. This is insanity, Mr. Namwe. Your take.
First of all, I disagree with Mr. Tao. I think there is some good that can be made out of the system here. I think what is happening is exactly what he's supporting when we refuse to allow the system to work. The system in itself is good. It is the actor who are refusing to abide by the constructs of the system, and that is what is defeating the system. The case in point is the current debate we're having, and I want to let him know this is not. It has absolutely nothing to do with Fonante Kofa. This is not about Fonante Kofa. I agree with him. I care less who emerges as speaker. But what we're concerned with is the continuous transgression of the law, the breaking, intentional, systematic breaking of the law with impunity. It has to stop somewhere. It has to stop somewhere. And so I can understand, is debate about Fonati and all of that, but you want to make sure you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because of your dislike of Fonati. And therefore, no matter whichever way he is removed, it is okay. No, it is not okay. What the Supreme Court is trying to do, somebody finally woke them up and said, look, you have a role to play in this. Your three co-equal branches of government, your responsibility is to check the legislature and the executive. Whenever they are in violation of the Constitution, it is your duty to check them and bring them back on course, as in return to status quo ante. Go back to where you were, remove all of your little committees, remove all of the left hand on the Bible or whatever it is, remove all of that and go back to when Kofa was speaker. Go back and get your 49, come back into the chamber and do what you have to do. That is what the Supreme Court is saying. And they're within their right to do that because they have judicial powers. That gives them the responsibility to any laws that are violative of the Constitution or any acts on the part of the two branches of government that violate the Constitution. They have a right to check those acts and remove them and declare them unconstitutional. As in right now, the whole process of trying to remove the speaker without due process, that is unconstitutional. They have to go back and do it according to the Constitution. And that's why the Supreme Court is telling them to go back to where they started. Go back to the Capitol building. Leave the hotel. Go back in the chambers. Go and gather your signatures. First of all, the signatures that are on the list there are not in question. Some of the people are saying, yeah, at this time or at the time I signed for a different reason. And now my signature is being used for a different reason. All of these things have to be debated. Come back in the hall. Yeah, don't be standing on the street corner and be removing people. That's not what the law says. That is what the Constitution is saying. And that's why I think the Supreme Court is saying. And also, this is probably a case of one head is not as good as 5 heads. This is a case of 5 heads are better than one. With all due respect to Judge Basie, but I think he needs the help of the other 4 justices to join him. All 5 of them now will be in panel, and they will listen to these guys on Tuesday. I'm very optimistic. Finally, I think there is some reason to be optimistic about the governors in Liberia. Do it according to the rule of law. It's not that complicated. It is not. So let's hope that on Tuesday we'll all come out here. Hopefully, the next time we're here after Tuesday, we'll have reason to give, some kind of commendation to the system in Liberia. But yeah, I disagree that the system is rotten and throw them all out. No, the system is there. We are refusing to work within the system. So we make what it said, make lemon with lemonade or whatever it is. I'm sure Mr. Tao knows the expression. But I disagree here on several counts. So I'll leave it there for now.
Great. Mr. Padmo, before I go to Mr. Eastman here, among this whole thing, we got 2 former presidents and 1 president. One of the former presidents took to the pulpit today. Mr. Padmo, bring us up to speed. What did Joe Weah say?
Well, Joe Weah called out the legislature. He called out the present leaders. He cautioned. It was enlightening because Judge Weah actually, he called people out on their behavior. He called people out on their processes. The leaders of today. He called people out on the peace that is in the country that we enjoy and how we are putting that peace at risk. A lot of times when we see, in all honesty, when we talk about Judge Weah, we speak about Judge Weah in an unsophisticated way. We say, oh, that Jerry boy from Gibraltar, that he the tall, you know, that Jerry went away and stuff. But when you really sit down sometimes and you listen to him, okay, he has that way of, he's seen a lot, you know. And yes, he might appear, you know, unsophisticated, but he's not using the big university terms. But, you know, but he makes sense. You know, he makes sense. And when you look at, you know, especially his last actions in office, where the CDC and United Party were engaged in a very close race, and the things that he could have done to keep himself in power, and he chose not to do so. And you see what people are doing now to gain power. You have to put your hands up to George Weah. You have to at least listen to what he has to say, you know. And he makes a lot of sense. He makes a lot of sense. He might, look, George Weah might come down, you know, next to United Party, his government might be the second most corrupt government that lost, that had the opportunity to swing Liberia's pendulum into a good space, and they failed to do so. But he is making sense. This stuff has to stop. And the leaders that we put in there, they have a responsibility, you know, and they are the ones. You can see the invisible hands acting all behind this. You know, one minute, Richard Kuhn is elected speaker. Next, there's a brand new vehicle at the Capitol building waiting for him with police escort. Now we are hearing that the president called and congratulated him. You know, and you know, so George Weah, that's what he really said. Like, look, we have to be leaders, and if you want to do something, you do it the right way. And the way how it's going about, you know, it doesn't help our country. It doesn't help us move forward. You know, and as a matter of fact, it threatens our peace. You know, and I think people might come out and say a lot of things. You know, why did he leave the country? He should have stayed. He should have engaged his party. You know, and he should have made sure that this stuff stopped way before. You know, but he spoke today, and he's, you know, I listened to him. You know, and he made a lot of sense. And I think anybody should give him the chance, you know, to hear what he has to say, because he had a lot to say.
Great, Mr. Pat, Mr. Eastman, and to you. We all agree that this is the, and I'm going to quote Mr. Michael Padmore, maybe not verbatim, but this is classic Unity Party modus operandi. They do not like to follow the laws. They like total power. They like to govern where there is chaos. And we are seeing it here. The former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, on whom we thought this country was going to be built on a new foundation. She has not said that. She's well respected around the world and in Liberia. She has not spoken. The present president spoke, but he spoke in Sierra Leone. When the press asked him about the situation in Liberia, he said, this is our normal democratic process. This is normal. Mr. Eastman, the silence of Sirleaf and the asinine thinking of the present president, what does that say to you about the current affairs of our state?
Yeah. Before I get into that, I'd like to address some of the issues
Please,
Mr. Tao talk about. Mr. Tao, with the kind of system we practice, the democracy we practice is practiced by several countries around in the world. I do not think it's a perfect system, but it's a system that has been working for a couple of centuries now. Now, if we're going to look at the issues and we're going to consistently go back to say the system not good, the system not good, the system not good, then there's really no need for debate. There's really no need to examine the various nuances that happen day to day, because we're seeing the same thing. The system not good, the system not good. We have to examine the system for where it is And how can we address the issues that it is encountering? Are people obeying? Are people following the rules? And if you don't follow the rules in any system, you have built systems yourself. If you don't follow the rules in any system, it's going to go haywire. So we do know part of a system is obeying the rules, the parameters explained within the context of how the system is supposed to work must be abided by. And if you don't abide by it, it's not going to work. So to the issue, Mr. Gaiman, I like what somebody said on the show. You and myself go on a competition to see who will become speaker. I defeat you. In few months, you and some people go on the side and say, we can't be under you. We cannot run a democracy like that. Okay. And we've seen repeated issues like that. We see the people who have tenure being removed. If you can't, when the Supreme Court say you can't remove them, you suspend them anyway. We've seen a lot of this, just what Mr. Tao was saying, violations of the word that make us think the system doesn't work. But it's not that the system doesn't work. We are not obeying, we're not abiding by the rules of the system. And that is something when you stop abiding by the rules, this is what is happening here. And we're witnessing it when you stop abiding by the rules, you have anarchy. Anarchy takes its place. Nobody really follows the rules. Okay, nobody does what they want. By the time you if we look at all the war, the coup d'etat we had, the first thing that happened after was anarchy until they were able to bring it under either military rule or some other kind of rule. So what we see here, these continual violations of the rules and regulations of our democracy will eventually lead to anarchy. And we need to watch this. So I'm happy that the Supreme Court is going to weigh in, but it's very evident what is going on. You were defeated, and months later, your men then go on the side and say, "Well, we can't sit under this man." That is not how it's done. You know, if you have legitimate issues, then you should be following protocol. You should be following the proper way to remove him. That is how you do it. Then it will not look as if jungle justice, that you just don't want to be under the man, so you drum up charges against him and don't give him a chance to defend himself. That's how it looks. And no one can fool us. But, I think some people are being blinded and emboldened because they've gotten away with impunity over and over again. But this will not be a victory. If they are successful, if they do this, it will not be a victory. This sort of thing comes back and bites you in the butt later on. Because what goes around comes around. So if we're going to use these techniques to defeat our opponents, like we've seen all over the world in various systems, just like Mr. Tao said, these systems are being manipulated to work against other people. If we're going to do that, then we're going to get the results of those actions. So I totally hope the people will allow themselves to come under one chamber and whatever resolution they have, they let a year out the accusations, the speaker recuses himself, and let's see it to the end. That's the only way it should go. So that's where I am. Great.
Mr. Namwe, let me start with you on point number 2, then I go to Mr. Tao. We are looking at the government of Liberia passing half of MCC scorecard for 2025. The most important one that it failed, that is detrimental to the nation, is the rule of law, what we're just talking about. The nation fails the rule of law, and according to my sources from the U.S. Embassy, this report has not taken into account what's going on presently in the House. So it is possible that this country will retrogress in the next few years, go forward. Some people, I spoke to Anthony Kessley, via line. He is adamant that they are now setting the re-election of President Boakais. And I told him, I said, you guys are so corrupt. And one of his buddies texted me and said, we are unity party, so we know how to win elections. So when you're looking at the president of the nation disrespecting the Supreme Court to whom or to which? When the election was called between George Weah, Councilor Bromsky, everybody else, it was the Supreme Court that a renowned lawyer went and filed his complaint. And when the Supreme Court finally ruled, he said, as much as I want to disagree with the Supreme Court, it is the organic law and the interpreter, the final arbiter of law. I have to acquiesce, I have to agree, and I submit. Here we are saying the opposite. Joseph Boakai is saying the Supreme Court said you cannot remove tenured employees. They are contractors subject to law. He suspended them, removed them, and replaced them. Same thing with the central bank. Same thing with the asset recovery. We are now hearing that the government took a prisoner under our jurisdiction midnight and extradited that person or moved the person, handed the person over to a foreign government without the due process of law. So you see where we are going here come 2029. When Nambe loses an election, you got nowhere to go, you got no one to blame. There is no rule, there's no law, there's nothing going on in the country, there's no investment, there's nowhere to turn, Mr. Nambe. This is where we are going here. This is it's not just about today. This is about the future. There is no law and order. The MCC report card said it. We fail law and order. The country is lawless. Mr. Namwe, you are a student of violence. That's where we were all growing up. What do you say about this?
Well, I don't know if I'm more a student of violence than Mr. Padmore is, but you know.
Yeah, well, we just got beaten, but they really got it brought up
but you know, you already cited some of the instances that speak to this government's inability to work within the rule of law, right? I mean, we all know the famous takeover. Hostile takeover at NASCOR, where the party chairperson and other ministers of government went in there to take over the place. And the poor lady told them, no, this is not the way it should be done. And what happened? The president fired the lady only because she told them to go back and do it according to the rule of law. And then there are the several instances that you cited. The president's repeated attempt to remove tenured government officials unconstitutionally, you know, the central bank governor, you know, the telecom situation, you know, there's several instances, you know. So yeah, if the MCC comes back to say we're not working within the, you know, we have a problem with rule of law, I mean, there are several instances. Julie Andy, you know, fighting for her case, going to court, the president advisor calling the judge to tell him, look, we have an interest in that case and blah, 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 you know, and put his finger on the scale to tip the scale in favor of Prophet Key. You know, that's not what it comes. That's not the law. You know, we all know it is very, very easy to do the wrong thing. It is easy, you know, to work outside of the law. It is very difficult, but that is why it is. That's how it's supposed to be. You know, you should always strive to do the right thing. But yeah, this government has demonstrated time and again that it has no respect for the rule of law. The president, he removed these people from telecom. They went to court. The Supreme Court said no, instead of people, he said, okay. Before the people got home, he suspended them, you know, and appointed people in their stead. And that's where we are. So all of these are violations of the Constitution, and I think they're aware of it. So, and I'll be surprised next time around if we fill the MCC card again on respecting the rule of law. You know, there are laws where there is no law, there's chaos. That's the rule of the jungle. You have to respect the Constitution. It's just that simple. If you try it and it doesn't fit within the confines of the Constitution, then it means you shouldn't do it. But to try to find ways, clever and creative ways to circumvent the Constitution, all of that, it's not helpful, because eventually you undermine the fabrics of the very institution that put you there, that protected you, that protect you. I agree with Mr. Patmore with all the disagreements I have with President Weah, former President Weah. That is one thing that he has to be respected for. That capacity to check himself and say, you know what, even though I have the capacity to refuse to accept the results of these elections as close as they are, I could extend this thing, and make hay out of it. He called Boakai and congratulated him and said, you know what, the people have spoken, congratulations. And thereby averting a potential catastrophe that could have lingered and have people killed and all of that. So yeah, at this president, I hope the MCC card and other things are we're going to wake them up. There is the other way of doing things, and then there is the legal way. And I think they should do the best they can, to emphasize doing the right thing over doing the wrong thing. They're trying the best, but there are instances when they have clearly demonstrated their unwillingness to work within the rule of law. And even when they have been corrected, they double down and refuse to correct their illegal actions. So yeah, I agree with the MCC guy, but there are other things that I hope we'll talk about that we also didn't do well. Education, and the arrest agenda has an E in it, which I think is for education. I mean, we failed miserably. Healthcare, how is it? I mean, that we're prioritizing other things, and yet those things that we call our seminar projects, we can't seem to pay attention to them, and we're failing in those areas.
Great. Mr. Tao.
Yes. Okay.
Your buddy Joseph Boakai ran into this thing they call the MCC, which is the first check and balance. When someone want to checkmate you, to give you, I'm going to read what Mr. Cassidy sent me here. He says, I may be ashamed of myself. He says, when your party, when CDC was in power, they did worse. We got 5 years, 6 years. You can't grade me on my first year. That's what he's telling me here. So we should wait until 2028, 2029, according to Mr. Tao.
Yeah.
This is the president. This is the president right-hand man.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. I will go back a little bit. Everything that we're discussing here rests on the very foundation that I keep pointing out. I really don't understand what is there to conserve. Because it's almost like these guys on this platform, and just Liberians or Africans in general, fought against something that was brought by people that dominated them, whether in any form, whether it was Portuguese or whatever. Before the people came to your shows, you ran kingdoms. People, Africans, are the only people that they're telling that from out of your own culture and your tradition, you don't have ethical and moral concepts that you can govern yourself by. That somebody brings something, they hand it to you to sit in and dictate. This is what we are constantly discussing here. This is not your democracy. You're acting like the democracy in itself is a Western stuff. No, this one would never work for you. What are you trying to conserve? Your enslavement? Your subjugation? I don't understand. Every other people who were able to gain some independence went back and they were able to review the system, at least the governing system, the legal system, the socio-economic system. If we are Africans and we are in Africa and we have sociology and psychology that is written and handed to us, and if we have common sense that the sociology or psychology for people is determined by their historical experience, if you and these people don't have the same historical experiences, how can you then take on that and you are studying this? That is why we are all messed up. Where is this fear coming from? That we can at least say, you know what? Let's sit back. Let's look at this stuff. Let's examine it. So I just want, so everybody, they're saying they disagree with me, but there is nothing to disagree with. Everything that I pointed out, the Supreme Court keep ruling. I didn't say that there is no rule that the Supreme Court cannot govern. I say, irrespective of what the legal or implication would be. What the Supreme Court is saying here, we have no leverage because we've seen it. So what is there that you guys are disagreeing with? You seen it? The Supreme Court rule, don't touch 20 people, they touch them. What happened? Look, the three branches of government, the executive and the legislature, they make the most money. I listened to Senate, you're complaining the other day that their budget is small. Look, my brother, the three people is about eating money. Okay? And that is the reality. So I don't know why when you say you're disagreeing with me. But look, I will go to the MCC card. The United States should be in no position to come and tell somebody whether they're doing good or not. The West should be in no position. The most criminal group of people, the most murderous group of people, this is their history. It's there.
Yeah, but Mr. Tower, let me push back here. In America, they say he who pays the bill call the shot.
Yeah.
If you don't want to listen to them, why you keep taking their money? Why you keep taking their money?
I'm coming to that.
Okay,
There shouldn't be no position to tell anybody anything. Through the MCC card and other programs that they run. That is why you see that environment behind Jimmy look like that. These are the same people, you know, the MCC. You see, people don't go and look at the documents. And when I come here and I say we should study, my brother Nambe want to think I'm disrespecting somebody. No, we all must always study. Look, they come to us through the MCC card. Do you know that climate change and all of this stuff? Those are acts for what they push and the policies.
Mr. Taiwo, you still have not addressed my issue. Why you keep taking their money?
No, but listen.
If you don't take their money, you don't have to abide by this rule.
Okay, so look, I'm coming now. So this is the stuff here that you can't touch this forest. They clear that whole area. They turn into a whole damaged entire country over there. Why they're telling you about through the MCC system? You are supposed to climate change and forest reservation and all this stuff is part of it. But here it is, Aslam Meta and HPS. They signed a contract. They're about to destroy a virgin forest that the Africans have kept and have never touched. So the MCC stuff don't mean anything. What those are tools through which they exploit you. But look at what happened here. I mentioned it here before. The United States, they're off front. The money the MCC started talking about, these are corruption. This is bribing government officials. Because as corrupt as our government is, where they sat there and paid themselves all this money, and if the United States so concerned about corruption, why are they subsidizing the budget after the guys eat everything out? Then they say, oh, we'll subsidize agriculture. No. You are supporting that. We have to point this stuff out. You see, we want to come here and discuss the symptoms and stuff. The fundamental problem that is happening, we don't want to discuss them. Because they should not be able to supplement any budget of a government that is this corrupt. That in itself is a bribe. That is a problem they ran in with though. As much as the government itself was corrupt, you think that the aid, they try to give it to you if you don't want it. What happened to Thomas Sankara when he didn't want no aid? You're here as if when somebody tried to implement something else outside of this, that nothing worked. No, they make sure it don't work. They sanction you once you are not following where they can exploit to follow the system. They sanction you, they overthrow you, they throw your country in the wall. What is Araman or what is Traore going through now in Burkina Faso? The young man came there. He's trying to almost every month they're trying to overthrow him. We're sitting here, we can't even address those. When Magufuli came to power in Tanzania, when he saw the corruption, when he decided to change course, cut out the World Bank project, even cancel contract that he had with Chinese companies. But you know what the Chinese did? They say, you know what? You are right. The contract was unfair. We'll come back and renegotiate. The Europeans, with their arrogance, feeling that the Africans belong to them, that they refuse. This guy, in 5 years, didn't take no IMF loan, took over concession and travel, built all kinds of stuff, hydro and all kinds of things. What happened? He died on a mysterious death. We don't point this out. So the MCC card don't mean anything. What we need to be focused on here is that we create a system wherein we are accountable to ourselves, because the government in Liberia don't belong to you. The MCC card and other NGOs sit in the USAID that belong to the US State Department. They run your election. They sponsor most of those candidates. And they
don't sponsor any candidate, mister. Come on, man.
Yeah. They fund your elections. They fund your elections.
No, we like candidate. Nobody
sponsors your elections. You are like this. Look, man. If I came to you now and I say, you know what, me and my family, we created a system in which we function. You and your whole family, you follow that because we have your best interest at heart. And whenever you don't follow it, we're going to deal with you. You will tell me I'm crazy. It's the same concept. Nobody should.
So Jerome, because Mr. Tao called my name, I think you should give me a minute.
You can disagree with me all you want, and I
think you should give me a minute. Let me respond to
what happened here. Is that
go ahead, Lance. We can go to the next one.
The reason there is so much resistance, there's several reasons why. The pretense that there is some kind of freedom of speech in the United States here, but that knowing the reason we can quote and blast the African government, because we know that they have no ability for them to really do anything to us. The fear that we have, that we can be punished if we point out the crimes that the West is committing, led by the US, is committing against us. That's one aspect. The other one is we who are the so-called educated people, we have defined ourselves by these things. So the fear that by trying to re-examine it, we could lose the value that we are placing ourselves based on the definition of these things. Those are aspects of it. What? So yeah, those are aspects of it.
I didn't understand what you said.
That is why it was said that in order for you to change your system, you work with the people that have everything to gain as when the system collapses, rather than people that have everything to lose. Because me and you, we have so much to lose if that system fails, because we define ourselves by these things. And we need to be honest. Marcus Garvey, let me read. Garvey said that leadership or people that train and teach their people to depend on others is of people that will enslave the people forever. That is what we are doing here. What are we conserving?
Thank you.
We must go and be able to dissect those stuff and analyze them, look at them. If we say, okay, this one work, we can make this work, let's adapt it. No, this one don't work. Let us go back and let us deconstruct this stuff and reconstruct it. There should be a national dialogue.
That is what quite honestly,
you call your name, so go ahead.
Yes. So I'll try to keep mine brief. Let me say this. Even if you are not a Christian and you read the Bible, right? And you follow some of the things that the Bible says, you will find you will live longer and you will enjoy your life. Thou shalt not follow your neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not drink. All those things are good for you. The CCC, the Millennial Compact Challenge, is not an imposition. It's a challenge for you to better the lot of your people. Fight corruption. I'm sure Mr. Tao does not condone corruption. Give your people better education. Give them better health care. Give them justice. Give them freedom of expression. Those are some of the things that the CCC is throwing out there. And when you're doing those things, not only are you congratulated, there are millions and millions of dollars that you tend to benefit. Not alone. And those monies you could put to better the lot of your people. So all this conspiracy theory, that he's weaving about people coming and imposing and all that, I don't understand it. Maybe you don't understand what the MCC is. It is not a loan. It's not an IMF. It's not a World Bank. It's not a loan. This is a gift that you get for doing what you should have done in the first place, for doing good things by your people. That's what the MCC is about. So if you're filling the MCC card, not only are you not being denied free money, but you are also subjugating your people to untold suffering, as in healthcare, as in child care, as in poor education, as in children sitting on the floor on an open roof when it is raining to sit down and sit there in school. I'm sure that's not what you want for your children, Mr. Tao. But that is what is happening in your Liberia today. That is what is happening.
Thank you. Mr. Padmore, before we go to our last point.
Something that water the Tao drinking.
Yeah. The third point, well, we'll start with Mr. Eastman, but for now, Mr. Patmore, the scorecard here now, there are some people who are saying we should look at the scorecard in its totality. Who did what? Who should take credit? Is there a silver lining? Should Waika be blamed for the thing, or is it part of the previous government? Where did Liberia do well? Your take on this scorecard.
So, according to my UP friends, everything that the government passed on, UP did it.
That's right.
Everything that they fail on, that CDC.
Including the rule of law.
Yeah, that was CDC on it. That part was CDC. That CDC, because and the thing, it started from last year, any part of last year, and so CDC has small part to play inside. So all the thing we fail on, that CDC on there. The one we pass, that's so just like that United Party. Yeah, so that what our United Party friends want us to believe. It's I'm telling you, it's so comical. But they say with a straight face. People say with a straight face. Kessler don't kind of thing say, my man will get 6 years. So that means that the first year you must be corrupt because you get 5 more years. So that the first year.
Let's say you're 5-year-old, but you are safe for 1 year, so you.
Yeah, that 1 year don't count.
Yeah, so it don't count. Somebody actually had the audacity to say, you know what? The first year was just a wasted year. A whole year you wasted of the Liberian people. The Liberian voted you for 6 years, and 1 whole year you just wasted. I would just waste one. And then you expect people to take you seriously, And then you're talking about a second term.
The man said they know how to steal election. They did it before.
Exactly. You got to give that part to them. And anytime United Party makes that statement, I don't argue with it. I don't argue with them on that. I'll end with this. Look, I told people, and I will continue to say, if United Party, if last year, this time, United Party was the one, right, that had lost with a very slim margin, they were going to cheat. They were going to cheat. There is no if and in about it. There is no going and coming. They were going to, if it means, the people already told you, they won, and they told you, if you ain't announced we'll win the whole country. So they imagine if they had the power, the executive power to do so. They would have done so and to have a peace. They're a very dangerous group. But all Liberian people sometimes, that they play there where sometimes we can be quiet because they see these things and they still elect these people. So here we are. MCC should not even be. Look, the one thing I will agree with Mr. Tao on, as a sovereign country, as a country of leaders that should be looking out for their people, okay, we should not even be participating in MCC. All of us here, we are fathers. Nobody bribes us. Nobody has to give us small thing for us to do what is right for our families, for us to take care of our children, to educate them, to keep them healthy, to raise them, to be contributing citizens. Nobody has to bribe us. It's something we take pride in. So the fact that we have to participate in itself, can be seen as a negative. But even when you are offered that, you still do bad. That puts you even in a worse situation. That means that even when somebody is giving you an incentive just to do good, you can't even do that for your own people. And that's why I disagree with Mr. Tao. Look, Liberia is down today not because of the system. Liberia is struggling today not because of the system. No system is perfect. That's why even when you read the American Constitution, it says, in our strive for a more perfect. Because even in their own admission, they agree that union is not perfect. That's why instead of saying happiness, they say the pursuit of happiness. That's something we're working toward as a nation. We haven't gotten there yet. And to see this, we're not perfect. Because humans are not perfect. So we cannot be expected to create a perfect system. But that's not why children are sitting out on the ground in recess. That is not why people are starving in Bapolu. This is not why mothers are being carried in hammocks and lapas for miles and miles to get to the nearest maternity center and dying on the road in childbirth. And not because of the white man, and not because of the white system. It's because we, as Liberians, have refused to do what is right for our own people. That is why. And until we change that, no system will work in Liberia. Thank you.
Last time I checked, the government that passed the MCC card, it was re-elected. That was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The government that failed the MCC card, that if they even better than this government did not get re-elected. So I'm just putting that out to my UP friends. Because not being re-elected is a accumulation of factors. This is a sounding board, it's a mirror on the wall to tell you how well you're doing. That's what the card also does for you.
Well, we will say here, we would like to put a little asterisk to that 2011 election where you say she got re-elected, just like Anthony Cassidy said. He said we know how to win election. So if you see the Supreme Court, they disregard the Supreme Court, they will disregard the Elections Commissioner, they will do like they did, and now that the CDC, George Weah, have been elected president, they come back later and say, oh, Mr. Flomayan said it was an error. I just switched the number around, but anyone actually. So, Mr. Eastman, the last topic on here, number 3, is our national budget. Before you start with the national budget, the most community, according to the people in Liberia, Front Page Africa, it says here, the Liberian population the Liberians dismiss finance minister's economic claims as pure political rhetoric. Mr. Gamfwa had a goal to go to the Ministry of Information and said that this economic system in Liberia is better than previous ones. And the people said, even the United Party told him, said, it is a political statement. Gamfwa knows better. Gamfwa said the political system, the economic system in Liberia is better than what it was. They are doing extremely well. That's Mr. Gamfwa. But Mr. Eastman, let's go to the score about our 2025 budget.
Eastman.
Mr. Eastman, everybody, you look at the budget, you have read about it, you have seen pieces of it, nuances of it. Mr. Eastman, this one is funny. Talk to us about the budget. What part of the budget that concerns you, that you want to talk about, that you think, if you were comparing, are we going forward? Are we retrogressing?
We took apart this budget on Saturday with focus. I said we dissected this budget on Saturday with on focus on Liberia marketplace. What we notice about this budget is particularly it is not providing sufficient funds to where they definitely are needed. Okay, we saw that 39% of the budget is for administrative expenses.
39.
That, in other words, salaries and stuff like that. 39%, almost half of it. The educational sector only getting about 13.5%. All right, the health sector got 85.8 million, which is about 10%. Okay, and the law sector got 14%. That's the Minister of Defense, NSA, what have you. And the agriculture, and this is where I will particular stay with, the agriculture budget went from 6.78 million in 2024 to 15.2 million 2025. So ordinarily we'll say, wow, that is almost a 200% increase, right? That is excellent. But here's the problem. Even though we put 15.2 million there, it is not enough to make a transformative impact on food security and economic diversification in the country. It's not enough. In other words, if you got a cut on your hand, and at least when you say I went to the hospital, they put Band-Aid on it. You would say, yeah, that's at least they got Band-Aid, but they're healing. The thing is infected. They didn't put disinfectant on it. They didn't make sure that it didn't have other internal issues. It's superficial and it's not going to work. So the budget is not doing enough to change the trajectory of Liberia. That was the whole point of doing this. It's not, there's no change. And a lot of the budget looks very similar to the budget of the past. And we haven't been making any transformative changes. There's no enough money invested in the public sector. Okay, there's not enough money invested in education. Even we suspect some of these budget because the University of Liberia is not even open. Several schools don't even have chairs. Teachers complain about not getting paid. So this budget, as it appears, is not any very, very different, and it is not going to have the desired effect on us. And unless we cut or put some people say tighten your belts, but unless we make up our mind to cut down these fabulous salaries and these fabulous benefits and put it where it's going to move the needle, put it where people will feel a difference, put it where when we invest in this area where they got something we call performance-based budgeting, you put it in an area that is performing well, then you know you would get the biggest dividend for your investment. Unless we start doing that, it's gonna be same old. That's it's unfortunate because we oldest country on the continent, but we see young countries, like Burkina Faso, like Rwanda, all those going far, far ahead of us. And we can't keep claiming, they had colonial masters. That's not what it shows. It shows that our priorities are in the wrong place. Okay, and our leaders are not. They say there's a book where they call leaders eat last. Our leaders eating first. They have to fill their guts. They have to have all the benefits and emoluments before people even in JFK get medicine. Before children in school get their classrooms. Everything is on. It comes behind what their benefits are. And we can't run a country like that. We can't change. We can run a country like this to eventually people get fed up. But we will not have a change that we're looking for.
Great. Mr. Padmore, the greatest scam that I see, several scams, one that I saw, but there are two of them that I want you to talk about. This $150 minimum wage bill that TOE and the CDC signed on the harmonization, which was supposed to go into effect 2023, which is nobody, we are not talking about supplementary, they were trying to get rid of the supplementary payroll thing that were brought on by the Unity Party, which is people who are volunteers. You say, well, we get paid, but we give you money to buy your gas and come $45 here, until we can find somewhere to put you. The harmonization we're trying to get rid of that by saying, as long as you are in the government, you are working, the minimum you should make should be $150. That was the essence of the harmonization. Now, Unity Party came out and say, The previous government cut salaries. We are now raising salary. Then you turn around, you look at NSA budget. NSA, $15 million in NSA. You look at youth and sports, the Liberian national team, the sports of the nation, $150,000 for the entire sport. Mr. Padmo, man, talk to me about this one. You're the budget.
I'll give the Liberian government an idea. You know, somebody budget there. Just open it up to individuals. Just say, you know, I've been Michael Pamo. If you take care of the sport budget for 2025, we'll name it after you for the whole year. Because I can take care of it. No, I'm not bluffing. But one individual can take care of that thing when they're talking their budget. One individual can stand and say, okay, I'll take care of that budget for the year. You know, look, it's so embarrassing. Okay. Minimum wage, because that's what we're talking about. Minimum wage announced by the government is $150. Patrick Horner, acting commissioner LTA, makes $15,000. That's 100 times. 100 times.
Don't forget about his generator get 3,500.
100 times what a government worker that is expected to pay their way back and forth every day to leave something home for their wife to cook so the children can eat. I'm not talking about any other thing. I'm talking about to eat and to transport yourself to the work, you know, that you're expected to do. And another person makes 100 times that. Hey, you saw him in the swimming pool?
Of course.
Hey, you saw him in the swimming pool? I mean, if you are making, Mr. Gamer, if you are making 100 times the amount of a government official in America right now, you yourself be in swimming pool.
I was swimming blue swimming pool. Blue.
You yourself be in swimming pool.
I'll be on a yacht.
Exactly. You know, 100 times. And that's what we're talking. And then we'll cry 85% unemployment. You know, you have mass unemployment. You have a lot of work. The country dirty. Nobody clean the country. You can't hire people to clean the country, but you pay one commissioner $15,000 a month. You know, so you know this is where we are, and you can't blame system. You can't say, "Oh, that the weapon tornado." You can't say the weapon insisting that we pay Patrick Horner $15,000, and then we pay Matthew where his need is that works. You know, that's a clerk at Ministry of Transport, $150. The weapon ain't taught to set that kind of payment structure. They didn't do it. We chose to do that. We chose to enslave our own people in this way because that is economic enslavement. You know, and then when when we read it, then we do the things that we do. And that is system. That's us. As Liberians, we are doing this to ourselves. You know, and so as long as we continue to do this to ourselves, we cannot blame others. That's the first. You know, Mr. Tower talk about revamping the system, making the system work for us, taking the part that's good, getting away with the part that's bad. I agree with you 100% because we do that every day in our lives. The things that aren't working for us, we put it one side. The things that work for us, we embrace it. Yes, that should be a continuous process, but it must start first with us admitting that this is not about the white people. This is about us. Because if we cannot admit that, what do we change? How do we change it? The first step to change is to admit that what you are doing is wrong. And we ain't doing it. We don't want doing it. Not us.
Mr. Nangbe, before I go to our newcomer here, we are seeing, people are saying President Weah was a footballer and he didn't put a lot of money into the football program, into sports, into athletics. Even though he built park, they said that park we will eat. He did this, all of that. Now here we are. We expect the Lone Star to go to the World Cup or go to AFCON, the African Cup, to travel, to charter a plane to carry 20, 25 people to host them, come back for the whole season. In the national budget, $150,000.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Palmer, I think he did a good summary as well as Jimmy. I actually listened to the show yesterday with him, Gibra and Percy. I think they did a very good job. Jimmy, you guys did a wonderful job. So, there are a lot of comparisons they drew with the current budget to the last budget. The one thing I have to say, I think this is this government's second budget. So they have 4 more to go, to make that statement that is supposed to be made by, where you allocate the money. And we haven't seen any significant break from the business as usual as they have promised. Basically, the payroll, the government payroll is consuming over 90% of the budget. That was the same with the previous budget. It is with this current budget. So we're waiting to see when and how they will make that break to bring us the transformative change that we've been looking for. Unless we go by what you read from Anthony, that we should let them chill out and jolly for 1 year, and then we let them come back after the first year. Hopefully they'll do better next time around. But yeah, this budget it's not different from previous budgets that we've seen over the past 12 months. Over the past 24 months, over the past 36 months. It's just the same, business as usual. And it is very disappointing because there's a lot of expectation that we have placed on this government because of what it said to us during the campaign. Some of us, yes, we did not support them, but we continue to say they won, and therefore we're rooting for them, but they haven't shown us how they intend to turn things around and take us out of this mess. We haven't seen that.
Mr. Gay, here we are, 2006, after the election, 2007, I went to Liberia, 2008, and things were bleak for the Unity Party government, and I went to 2 of the Unity parties in, and I said, my man, you guys came here with a lot of expectation, and the gentleman told me in his house, I won't call his name, he said, my man, you know where I come from. You know why it took me to win this election? I owe so much money. I don't have a home in Monrovia. There's a lot on my plate. The first 3 years will be for me, and then the last 3 years will be for the people. I'm seeing something very similar here. The folks are saying, listen, the first year that fly. That means that us, we will swim, we eat everything, we'll be swimming in the pool and all. Once we get our houses and everything built, then we can come back. Like my own sister in Grand Bassa County says, we got $3 billion from China to build oil refinery in Bassa, but we will break ground in 2028. That's the beginning of the next election cycle, Mr. Gay. Talk to me here. You don't understand the budget. You look at the budget, you have a lot of red flag about this budget. This one here, the free time method pass mark.
Yeah, good evening, fellow partners and Mr. Gaiman. I want to officially say my condolences again, even though I said that in a group chat, but I have not spoken to you since that day. So pray that God strengthen you and your family in the time of bereavement. Look, Mr. Gaiman, Liberia is at a crossroad. Like I said on the closing argument, I would say here tonight. If you're an opposition leader, if you're an opposition political party, if you're a citizen of Liberia who value your country, even if you don't have a party, if you don't like politics, but you value your country, join the former president to march to the capital. We cannot sit here and allow our country to go the way it's going. We cannot. I kid you not. You give this administration 12 years. they're not going to do anything better. 24 years, going to be the same old, same old. They don't have a plan. They don't have fresh idea. They have nothing to offer the Liberian people. Up to this date, the arrest agenda has zero policy. Zero policy. Each week, they come out with something that can stick or that will make a news headline. And if it backfires, they think about something else. Since the government came into office, show me one thing that they were able to do for a month that the Liberian people commended. Nothing. Every single week, there is another mistake upon mistake upon mistake upon mistake. 40 years of experience, nothing to show. Other people who have worked in government before are back with their job, nothing new. Talk about Patrick Hunter, don't understand the era where he worked. A square peg in a round hole. Is that what we're going to be doing? Emantua receiving almost $22,000. So I want to agree with Mr. Padmo. We have a good system. It's just that the individual in there are not willing to do the right thing. The system will not be perfect. Everything that we do is like a coach. When you coach a team for a match, and during the course of the match, you make the necessary adjustment, giving on what the opponent team is giving you. That's how you operate. You may have a plan for the game, but if the other team are doing something, you have to make adjustments. If I'm supposed to be playing the midfield and I'm not doing well, somebody else can do that midfield better, then take me out and put somebody else there. That's how we work. Even us as human beings, that's how we evaluate ourselves. We do a retrospect. We do assessment. We make the necessary adjustment. We are not seeing an administration that means business. Why? The national budget speaks to the administration agenda. This administration knows that we do not have vehicle for LMP in 14 counties today. How much money was given LMP in this national budget? This administration this year launched an agricultural program. And in that program, they geared to reduce rice input to Liberia by 75% in the next 6 years. Well, we have gone 1 year now. So in the next 5 years, how much money have been allocated to agriculture that will make us to achieve that? Are we here to joke or what? And so the list goes on. In the national budget itself, $851 million. It's a drop in the bucket for a Liberia in the 21st century, 2024. We've got to be talking about 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Someone else contribute towards what you're saying here. Hold on 1 minute. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is the Renegade, and I'm just calling from Minnesota.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Look, and hello to the other panelists.
Can you be audible, please?
Is it giving me? Got me on speaker?
Yes.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I just want to say to this Unity Party government, thank you very much, because we're seeing what they're doing, and this is why some of us are staying away from the politics. Because when will Liberia get it right? When will our country get it right? Because to sit on these shows for 2 hours is taxing on some of us. I mean, sitting on a bar for 2 hours, week in, week out, talking about politics when things just seems to be going backwards. 5 years, we have to deal with 5 years of this. Every Sunday to come in and talk about it. It gets disheartening for some of us. Some of us will need a mental break. But let me just say this. Look, if you guys don't find it curious that President Boyka always leaves the country when something is about to go down. Whenever something funny or clandestine is about to happen, he's always out of the country. And some of us will ask our uncle for $12 or $10 when they're taking the money from the pocket, they will tear our face. Like, we want to see the hiding place. And why did they ask the person for money? You already put this plan in motion when a plan is, coming to fruition and you tell your failure to say you know anything about it. How Namwe could manage to get a new car and police officer if it was not given to him by the president? Who gave him a new car? When he gave budget for new car in the last budget for the house. So to all those people who were saying President Weah was behind this, egg on your face. It's clear that President Barker wanted political hegemony in that country so that he will have no obstacle in his way.
Mr. Ellis, I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Mr. Pell.
So, I have a question. So CDC lost the election, but at least they got the speakership and the vice and the deputy speakership. Okay? And so why now are there elements of CDC behind this thing, knowing very well they are going to lose? They're going to lose the speakership and the third most powerful position in the government. Where was President Weah a month ago when this thing started? And why didn't he put his foot down on this?
All right, good point, Mr. Palmer. Look, if I can recall, I think President Weah called an 11-hour meeting to try to mediate between the parties and told some people that he don't want the speaker to be removed when they try to do that coup behind the speaker's back. And President Weah intervened. But Liberia, people in Liberia how the politics work. President Weah is only influential when he's most influential when he's in power. Most of those guys are belly driven. Most of them want the status quo to continue. The way they get their money through, committees, they want it to continue. Party alignment don't really mean much. We know that in that country. We know that. So the fact that for that to even have 35 people on his side is a testament to his leadership, because usually those people will be easily bought. And that's what most of us will believe, that eventually you will have to go. But my point here is President Barker wants political hegemony. He doesn't care about democracy. He doesn't care about the balance of power. And I think he will get it. And once he gets it, trust me, all of the things that we fear will come to pass. Those yellow machines will be clandestinely put in the budget. It will happen. Bosses, all the other funny business transaction that he's been trying to do that would have probably been handled by Fonatikova will pass through. And you will see that country become almost like a dictatorship light on President Barker. So for me, I'm not going to keep myself so worried about Liberia. We got 5 years to worry about this. Every Sunday, we come on the show, we talk, nothing changed. You think people listening to us? Not listening to us, they will do what they want to do. And nobody can bring war in that country because the Liberian people don't want war. So what's the other recourse? We can't go to the election until 2029. What's our recourse? So I just want to make those points, and Mr. Taiwo, you got to tone it down, Uncle. The conspiracy theories is too much. We know America has an oversized influence on the governments of our countries in Africa, but at the same time, it's because we're like children when it comes to governments. We're immature, we're petulant, we keep doing the same thing over and over again, the same failure, and we don't learn from it. So these people treat us like little kids that we are when it comes to the political space. So let's stop blaming them, blame ourselves. But thank you for having me on, Mr. Gaiman.
Thank you.
Let me conclude my statement.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so as I was saying, right, join former President Weah for the march to the Capitol building. You're not joining President Weah to support CDC. You're marching with him to defend and protect the Constitution of Liberia. Liberians, if we do not take the stand now, we will have ourselves to blame. The Constitution is clear. The laws are clear. The so-called majority bloc does not have the constitutional mandate to carry on the act that they carry on. They do not have the constitutional mandate. The Constitution said the speaker will be elected and the speaker shall be the presiding officer. No other person has that power except for the speaker. Not even the deputy speaker, nor the speaker pro tem. Unless the speaker is not present and the deputy speaker is there, or in the absence of the deputy speaker, then a speaker pro tem. So because of the Constitution and Article 2 of that Constitution that gave us the understanding that anything that contravenes with the Constitution is null and void, Article 26 gave the power to the speaker to go to the Supreme Court. A part of the reason why we have the problem we have today is because many folks who we taught supposed to know the Constitution don't know. Really don't know, including lawmakers and Most journalists in Liberia, you should not be a reporter in Liberia if you do not understand your constitution. You should not even be issued a license as a journalist if you don't have understanding of the constitution. Because you cannot be a person who is a representation of the fourth estate and then posting questions that question your understanding of the constitution. And that is part of the problem, the reason why we're here. We are also lawmakers who don't understand the constitution. That is the reason why we are here. And I want to urge every well-meaning Liberian, every patriotic citizen of Liberia, join former President George Manuel Weah on Tuesday to march to the Capitol building in defense of the Constitution of Liberia. I want to yield my time back.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our show. I'll go to Mr. Tawo to make his comment and close. Mr. Tawo, you got some defenders here. No matter what they say, there are people here who say you have a point. The system is not working for us. If we don't do the evaluation includes looking inward, look at ourselves. What is it that we are doing wrong? We cannot say we don't want America or the West, but yet and still, we are coming to them with our hands out. And when they pay our bills, like the American man said, if I pay the bills, I will tell you when to cut the lights off. I will tell you when to go to bed, because I'm paying the bill. If you don't want to listen to me, pay your own damn bill. Liberia. Go ahead, Mr. Tawo, your closing address on each
I will make a quick point on the budget. The budget really don't mean anything, because that budget is not realistic. And this is why. You see, we don't even know ourselves. We have not gone back for us to actually study ourselves, to know who we were, in order for us to know who we must be and where we must go. This is the confusion. This is the falsification of the African consciousness. This is what we are dealing with. So the budget that they're talking about, that gone from this to this, a whole bunch of what is in that budget doesn't make sense, for the simple fact that they say increase domestic revenue generation. How? And every time you look, it's about taxation. And we want to do everything like the way the Western structure and system set up, which if you actually went back and studied the very America, what they are doing now is wrong. It's not even what the so-called founding fathers fought for. What was the Boston Tea Party? It was revolt against taxation. Taxing the people is a crime. Government should not be in no position to go and tax people labor. Go into the very U.S. that have boasted about going to the Constitution, going to Article 13. It is unlawful to tax the labor of our people. Go and see thousands and tens of thousands of Supreme Court cases that have been won when people refuse to pay their income tax. You see, you don't know this, that income tax is unconstitutional in America. But because when they harass you, go and read the work of Andrew Jackson when he won in 1915. After the money people came back in using this very democracy for them to go ahead and bribe so that they can fund his campaign in order for him to implement the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned bank, to bankrupt the U.S. and take over the financial system. Through that, then to pay the Federal Reserve, the IMF was introduced. That then started to tax. So go and look at these. I spent years studying these congressional documents. So we take the same junk, we bring it in, and we are saying we're going to tax our people. Which people? The people that are selling a little bit above, the people that go and they're making the $150, they pay more transportation than this. So the budget is not real. We want to sit here and talk about that conspiracy theories and all this stuff. That's a lazy argument. You hear this from your CNN, so you throw it around. But look at the point here. Mr. Gaiman, you are the host. When did these heavy salaries come about? Then let's start in 2006. 40,000, 50,000 to advise us into this person, to that person. Then they start on Ellen. On whose leadership did this happen? Directly under the leadership of the US, the IMF, the World Bank, the Western Group. What did they say when they were subsidizing this budget? Because the problem we have, we are here reacting when we're supposed to have been proactive. Where in 2005, I was part of this saying this is going to strangulate this country. People told me that I was conspiracy theorists. It came true. They still call me conspiracy theorists. If you are subsidizing the budget of a people and you see them paying somebody $50,000 and $35,000, and the money is not going into the places that benefit the country, you say, whoa, no, we're not going to subsidize that. This budget must reflect in the areas that will grow and move the country. Why then that was crime against humanity if you look at the Ellen government. But what happened was passing MCC card. I'm making the point to say the MCC card, it's a front. They don't mean anything. They were passing this. But what they set up directly under that directive, but you know what was some of the stuff going on? That was bribe they were giving. And what happened? The port was taken. LEC was taken. The very port that honor this MCC or darkness that then we can't even ship anything into our country. You know, when the Chinese people wanted to build a port, they went into Peru. They took a new area. They built one that is over $1 billion, the largest in North America. That is how you do it. You don't come and take an existing structure, create a fake stuff, create all these loaded budget. Listen now, you know that the country was never going to be able to make it where you are now. These things were not by accident. These things are calculated. They knew that would strangulate you to get you to where you are. That is why they approved it.
We're running out of time.
Yeah. So in our budget, let me close on this, please. In our budget, we are saying no money in agriculture, no money in health, no money in education. Why is there no money? Listen to Thomas. They decided any country that's going to succeed, these are the 3 areas that you must actually control and you must really function in. They know that you need to be sick. It make you weak. They sell you the food. They make sure that your education is not good, so you are incompetent. They told you, no, pay people have salary. We are going to subsidize. Those 3 areas are directly on the US and the EU. And in 2011 or 12, the USAID said that they poured almost $1 billion into Liberian agriculture, store money and launder it for themselves. Look, Mr. Morris said, I should tune down. Young man, I understand and I agree and I appreciate your concern. But this is the fear that we have. And that is why the people in America, we are not able to really do anything in Liberia to move the country forward. We sit here, we talk for nothing. We are here just discussing, and people are already scared. I spoke here about World Bank in depth in Liberia, in the electricity area, in the tune of $1 billion, which I pulled the record off of their own website on what Liberia owed. And then what they did over there in Mount Coffee. Mr. Padmo issued a disclaimer immediately. That is the fear that we have. So we sit here. We can't even run a single thing in this country. You know why? Because also even discuss, there is fear. Do you know what it takes for you to put the right policies in place? For you to reduce the US interest and influence in your country. Your life could be on the line. So when you see the presidents in there, yes, maybe they are not doing the right thing, but you are nowhere close to them because you can't even sit on these shows for you to even point out the glaring fact out of fear or out of some sentiment. You're not able to do it. That is why the people that left from the you're talking about Patrick Hunter, Mr. Nangwe. Each time I mention it, you say I'm trying to make them to target the people from America. But come on, it's the people from America that is looting the country. They're the one that are looting the country. They go over there, they're watching the same thing that doing Laker ball in Brooklyn Park here.
Look, Mr. Tower.
I will close. Yeah, but that is what they're doing. That is the result. Yeah, you can point out that they have 1 or 2 people here that came from the Edwin Snowden, but on who directed are they operating? The group from the US, they're the dominant force, they're the largest group. They set the agenda and they are washed, and the other people in Liberia they hire follow it.
Thank you.
That is our problem.
Thank you, Mr. Nangwe.
Look, let me tell you.
Listen,
first of all, Jerome, thank you. I don't need it.
Mr. Eastman, you are muted.
You are muted.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but Nangwe talking. Let Nangwe talk.
So I want close quick. I got 2 questions for my closing.
Okay, go ahead.
One, Mr. Tao, where are you?
Yeah.
Are you in America?
Yeah, I'm here.
Number 2, how you would sit on somebody's head?
I'm gonna ask the same question. Where is he?
How you would sit on somebody's head that say their hair stink? Huh? I hear you criticizing everything in America, but I see you in Germany or South Africa.
Okay.
Mr. Tao, let him speak. Let him speak.
Can I speak to that?
I just asking you.
Mr. Taiwo, that's for another day. Thank you, Mr. Eastman.
Not me.
Mr. Nangwe.
Yes.
Mr. Nangwe.
For Liberia,
Listen.
and we have to point it out wherever it is.
Mr.
Mr.
Taiwo.
Tao, let him speak.
Mr. Nangwe.
So
In your closing, I want you to please address this. My nephew called me. I don't know how true it is. He says they told him now he has to buy a fire extinguisher for his car and his house, and he has to buy it every year. Even the one he took from the United States, they say they wouldn't take it. He has to go to a specific United Party store to buy the extinguisher. I don't know how true is it, but people are saying that's the new thing to discuss that and close.
Oh yeah, something new.
well, I mean, it's nothing new. Joe Tate, I think he reignited making that mandatory. So it's been around. But I don't agree that you have to buy it from one source. If you can display and demonstrate that you have a functioning fire extinguisher, I think they should let you have your fire extinguisher. But let me get on quickly. We're closing. Let me tell Mr. Tao. First of all, as far as I remember, the Tea Party was not against taxation. I think it was against taxation without representation. So I don't understand what government does not have
taxation.
tax people. How do you raise revenue? How do you raise revenue if you don't tax people? And let me also inform Mr. Tao, because he keeps bringing this up. Thomas Fowler, who is the deputy speaker, who is one of the people engineering this coup, did not come from America, and you know that. You know that. FoL family, who is all over the airways, he didn't come from America. I keep telling you, the fault, let us take equal responsibility for it. The fault is not exclusively on the people from the diaspora as much it is also on our local residents, our compatriots.
No, it's not.
Until you accept that, when you bring it up, I'm gonna come back at it. So the
you have all the education, go there, you can't do anything.
Mr. Tao,
You running out of time.
You have 40 years, you can't do anything.
We're running out of time.
But anyway,
we're 10 minutes past our time. Go ahead. Mr.
anyway, let me just say I came on the show today for one purpose only.
That to give Mr. Tao hard time.
That and then some to give us a towel hard time. But listen, I'm getting ready to go cheer on my Sixers and then on to the Eagles. So I'm in a very, very happy mood. But let me say this. I think our people they should rise up and go and cheer on the Supreme Court tomorrow, if for no reason, to go and encourage them to do the right thing. I think it's about time somebody stood up to this gangsterism in Liberia, where a few greedy people, mostly uneducated people, who don't even deserve the right to call themselves honorary people. They get over there and they are looting our people and pillaging our resources and giving everything to themselves. They get up and go and hold up in a hotel when they don't have the number to remove the speaker, and they know it, and they're refusing to come to work. That's dereliction of duty. They should fire all of them. So I hope the Supreme Court tomorrow, on Tuesday rather, will tell them that, look, the way you're going about what you're doing is wrong. Go back and do it right. I think that's what the Supreme Court seeks to do. The Supreme Court is not going to tell them how to do, who should be the speaker and all of that. But if they are operating outside of the rule of law, the Supreme Court reserve the responsibility, the right to tell them. I think this is what we're hoping for on Tuesday. So I'm encouraging my people not to join George Weah, another lizard president who did nothing for us, not to join George Weah. Let him go sit down, wherever he sits. But I'll push you go to the Capitol, to the Temple of Justice, and go and rally and show their support to the Supreme Court and encourage them to do the right thing. They should tell those people to go back to the Capitol building and go and put their resolution on the floor and unelect their speaker. That is how it should be done. Thank you.
Yola,
Mr.
I
Gay.
agree with you. On the not Johnny George, where I agree with you on that.
Mr.
Yola.
Gay. Mr.
Hey,
Gay.
and
Go
let
ahead.
me defend my John George Weah thing. First and
Your
foremost,
closing, sir. Don't
I
listen
got
to the guy.
videos
Do your
upon
closing.
videos. If you go on the bottom room page, Anthony gave video, you'll see all of my videos, right? Critiquing President Weah in his last 6 years, from day one up to the last day. I'm not a supporter of George Weah when it comes to politics. I'm his number one fan when it comes to sports. I will tell you that any day.
Don't listen to.
So let me say this.
Number one, praising Joseph Waga, nothing going right now. You want to be with Joe? Yeah, go ahead, man.
Let me say this to every Liberian listening to me today, or who will have the opportunity to watch this show. President Weah marched to the capital. It is no way, shape, or form supporting the CTC. President Weah marched to the capital building on Tuesday.
Yeah, but let not go try and steal the people's thunder. Let him go sit down
Can you
somewhere.
allow me, Mr. Nangwe, please?
Hey, Mr. Nangwe, let
His
him.
march to the capital
Anything that affects Joseph Waga, I hate you. Keep quiet.
has to do with
relax.
respecting the Constitution, upholding the rule of law. President Weah is a peace icon of Liberia. President Weah enjoys the popularity of the Liberian people. No one have enjoyed that kind of, no Liberian have enjoyed that kind of popularity, natural love that the people have for an individual like Weah has done and continue to do. I am not supporting his political bill for 2029. I'm commending him to even have the courage to march to the Capitol building. And I want every young or mid-aged Liberian to join him. Join him that this bullying people out of their office kind of thing that the Unity Party people love doing or other politicians love doing, we will put an end to it. The so-called political theater has rules and regulation. It has rules and regulation. And those rules must be adhered to, must be followed accordingly. I don't care who becomes the speaker next. All I care about is the Constitution must be respected. The Constitution must be respected. And that's what I want to commend, my political leader, Mr. Cummings, for putting out that statement. This is the kind of statement that we need to see from a commander-in-chief, the father of the nation, instead of talking from Sierra Leone saying that, oh, it's a normal political affairs in my country. No, it is not normal. The Constitution has been violated. The Constitution has been overlooked, just as 900 plus cabinet member of your cabinet has refused to declare their access, and you have no span to hold them accountable. Just as you have violated the PPCC compliance rules and regulations with your yellow machine, just as you have violated the tenure regulation or act, just as you have violated so many constitutional provisions, writing the chief clerk instead of the speaker of the house. Look, the list goes on. Liberian, enough is enough. You won't have any angel coming from heaven to fight for you. You yourself, many of you who were born the day Charles Taylor was elected president of Liberia, you are 27 years old today. All you have seen is hardship, poverty, uncertainty, hopelessness, struggling, and the list goes on. I'm speaking to you. The next 5 years, you will be 32 years old. 32 years of hopelessness. If you don't stand up, nobody will stand up for you. And we can end this mayhem, this madness on Tuesday. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Gay, before you go, I'll call on you. I'll call on Mr. Padmo. I'll call on myself. Let's call Mr. Cummings.
Mr. Eastman, close so Padmo can take us out. Mr. Eastman, your time.
Well, gentlemen, it's always good to sit down here with you all as you debate the various peculiarities of our nation. I especially enjoy Mr. Tao. He brings a different perspective, but I challenge him to go further. And next time, bring in a system, take it apart, and introduce to us a system that may work.
I don't want to be a dictator.
And no
consensus.
It's only a suggestion. You cannot impose
Just bring your proposal. That's all.
Just bring your proposal and let us read into it. And
Okay.
I appreciate. Yes, I appreciate all of you.
I work on that.
Let's go, Miss guy. We gotta
So
go.
I just want to say to our audience, if you want to hear the latest and the freshest debates, tune into On Point every Sunday, 4 o'clock, 9 o'clock Liberian time.
Thank you very much. The diplomat. Mr. Patton will take us home.
All right. So concerning our House of Representatives saga, look, I always tell people I've been blessed to live as long as I have. So I've seen a lot. I saw when Angweden were agitators.
And you were young. You didn't.
Yes.
You were too young.
I witnessed that. And I witnessed Liberia throughout since then. And one of the things that I've learned is that when people feel they have nowhere to seek redress, the whole country, the civilization, the order breaks down. And we've seen it over and over and over and over. Some people, some young people under the age of 40, in their 30s, early 30s, late 20s, when ECOWAS came to Monrovia, they were talking about how Liberia is a sovereign state and ECOWAS shouldn't be interfering. It took me back to August 24th, 1990, when ECOWAS landed at the Freeport. Not a single legislator was on Capitol Hill that day. Not a single one. If there is no peace in Liberia, there's not no honorable. That's in the 14 war right now. But when the ECOWAS lady was leaving, she said something that passed over a lot of Liberian people's heads. And I will end with this. I didn't even know this until she said it. And then I went back and researched it. She said, everywhere in West Africa where you have seen a military takeover, it happened when the politicians were arguing among themselves. That was what she said. And I went back and looked. When the politicians were arguing among themselves over power, the military stepped in. And she said, this is ECOWAS' greatest concern. And we think that because we Liberia, oh, it can't happen, man. It can't happen, man. Our debt, our levy, Saturday morning, okay, April 12th. We never thought that would happen to Liberia. Our debt, November 12th, 1985, when we turned on the radio, and Thomas Kwangba said, this is your general. Thomas Kwangba, I've seized control. Samuel Doe is in hiding. There's no escape for him. But,
killing plenty of people.
You know, if we cannot depend on the courts and law and order, all the people have is chaos. And nobody wants that. And that's why, look, I was hopeful, instead of we are doing this on his own, he probably should have stepped back for a second, called a group of opposition leaders, called civil society, try to create a more neutral base, and then galvanize people to. I wish he would have done it that way, you know, because a lot of people feel that there's a last-ditch effort for him to save, you know, a party. But whether you're going there for you're going there for yourself, the Liberian people need to show these people. What are you doing on Tuesday, you doing on Monday, you doing on Wednesday? These people need to stand up and show these people that this is not what we want. Okay? And we don't like what is happening. So I will end there. Thank you guys for a great show. I almost missed the show. Thank you, Mr. Gaiman, for reaching out to me. And I'm glad I came. And I look forward to next week Sunday.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll close real quick. On behalf of our staff, on behalf of Liberian, it was great seeing on the national pages of all the newspapers and to see Bishop John Innes and D. Elwood Dunn and the old order, people that brought respect and honor to our country, assembled in Oklahoma City to intone the late Vice President Bennet D. Warner. It brought pride to me and to Liberians to see men and women of honor and character taking another man of honor and character, Bennet D. Warner, to his grave. That was something to behold for those who were born way after the leadership of these men and women. You missed a history lesson. To the Warner family, to our republic, we say, Bishop Warner, with all due respect and honor, you serve well. The work you did speaks for you. And the pictorial from your funeral yesterday shows that there were men and women of honor. We are hoping that those who are in the house, I'm hoping that Major Joseph Boykai was watching leadership at its epic. Major Boykai.
Why you calling him Major, man?
He was
Stop
Major
man.
He was Major Boykai. This man does not respect peace, but he was tutored by these great men and women. Thank you very much. See you Sunday. As always, we say, Mr. Patmore and Mr. Eastman, no matter what part of Liberia, what part of the political spectrum you are from, we are all Liberians. See you next Sunday, 4 o'clock, guys. Take us out, Mr. Eastman.
We are Liberians.